In this episode of Categorical Funding 101, we're going to be talking about school site council, specifically their roles and responsibility for the year. We're going to be talking about the role of school site council, the SSC responsibilities, how SSC relates to budgets, and then finally, the school plan for student achievement, otherwise known as SPSA. For school site council, aka SSC requirements, it's important that we remember that school site councils must be established in every school in the state of California as mandated by California Education Code 65000. The school site councils are established on a yearly basis and must meet as many times as necessary to conduct all necessary business, usually monthly and at times twice a month, such as when establishing a school budget for the next fiscal year. Committee members generally serve on a 2-year term that begins in October of a school year through the next election cycle in September or October of the following year. The school site council is a decision-making committee that oversees a variety of legal documents. The school plan for student achievement is reviewed, revised, and evaluated by the SSC on a yearly basis. The plan identifies a variety of school goals and includes budgets, strategies, and activities that will enable the school to attain those goals. The school plan must be aligned to the district's Local Control Accountability Plan, or LCAP. It is the responsibility of the SSC to monitor the SPSA to ensure that the school is on track to meet the goals established in the plan. The SSC is a decision-making committee on categorical budgets, which includes Title I, Title I supplemental funds, Title I parent involvement funds, and comprehensive support and intervention. They approve, monitor, and review these categorical budgets throughout the year. The SSC makes decisions through the year in case Title I and or CSI funds need to be reassigned. The SSC also reviews and makes recommendations on a yearly basis for the school's LCFF budget. And finally, the SSC reviews and approves on a yearly basis the school's parent and family engagement policy as well as the school parent compact. There are many school functions and activities that are outside the scope of the SSC, which include school management, policy making, political organization, acting as an extension of a PTSA, foundation, or social organization group, fundraising, acting as a grievance committee, or site personnel decisions. At minimum, all elementary school site councils must have 10 members. There is no maximum amount of members permitted that the composition of the committee maintain the legal requirements. The SSC membership must be 50% staff members and 50% parents and or community members. The staff members include the school principal, classroom teachers, and at least one other school personnel that does not have a roster of students. This other school representative can be certificated or classified. Classroom teachers must make the majority of the staff members of the SSC. Parents or community members cannot be employed by the site. The table below shows the possible configurations for an elementary SSC. There are more possible configurations provided that they follow the parity guidelines. All SSC members, including the principal, are voting members. SSC composition for a secondary school. At a minimum, all secondary school site councils must have 10 members. There is no maximum amount of members permitted that the composition of the committee maintains the legal requirements. The SSC membership must be 50% staff and 50% parents and or community members as well as students. The SSC bylaws should specify the number of parents and community members and students. The staff members include the school principal, classroom teachers, and at least one other school personnel member that does not have a roster of students. This other school representative can be certificated or classified. Classroom teachers must make the majority of the staff members of the SSC. Parents or community members cannot be employed by the site. They can only be voted in to serve as a staff member, even if they have a child at the site. The table below shows the possible configurations for a secondary school. There are more possible configurations provided that they follow the parity guidelines. All SSC members, including the principal, are voting members. All SSC members, except the principal, must be elected by their respective constituents on separate ballots. Classroom teachers only vote for classroom teachers. Other school personnel only vote for other school personnel. As a reminder, this other school category includes certificated staff such as resource teachers, nurses, and counselors, as well as classified staff. Parents only vote for parents or community members. Community members are permitted but not required. Students only vote for students. Elections must be held even if the number of volunteers is the same as the vacancies. Keep all election materials for 5 years. This includes ballots and election results. The recommendation is to use Google Forms and hard copies, especially for parents. SSC responsibilities. Here are some best practices. There are several recommendations to ensure that the SSC is functioning properly. First, we recommend that all school site councils select both the chair and co-chair. We recommend that all SSC members have access to all documents. This can include providing each member an SSC binder. Most schools are transitioning to electronic folders, and SSC members are provided access to the Google folder that includes agendas, minutes, budget documents, the SPSA, bylaws, policies, and compacts. We recommend that SSC meetings are held toward the end of the month so that the DAC representative can provide information to SSC regarding the discussion at the meeting. DAC meetings are generally held the third Wednesday of each month. The school site council should select one or more members to attend this meeting. The SSC should review the SSC/SPSA timeline when developing calendars and agendas. The role of the principal in the SSC. The school principal is an automatic voting member of the SSC. They do not have any administrative authority over the council. The principal cannot veto a decision of the SSC or make any budgetary decisions to Title I without the SSC's approval. And finally, the principal must manage Title I and/or CSI funds in accordance with SSC decisions. However, please be advised that the SPSA department reviews SSC budget decisions to make sure they are allowable with district, state, and federal guidelines. The role of the SSC chair. The SSC chair and the principal are responsible for working together to guide the school site council. They must follow the Green Act requirements, which will be discussed later in this presentation. They must maintain all records in the SSC handbook and/or Google folder. The principal must keep an official notebook every year with a hard copy of all SSC documents, co-sign all required documents, set the monthly agenda and review previous month's minutes prior to posting, collect and organize all handouts for meetings, and finally, educate all other members. In the next segment of our recording, we're going to be talking about the operations of an SSC in terms of planning the agenda. So in any agenda, the monthly agenda should follow the agenda items on this slide. SSC meetings begin with the chair or co-chair calling the meeting to order and noting attendance to the meeting. It is followed by allowing public input on items that are found on the agenda. Next comes SSC business and begins with the approval of the agenda. Any additions to the agenda must be done by a unanimous consent vote. Other SSC business items include approving previous minutes or documents that are reviewed by the SSC. Every SSC meeting should provide an opportunity to review school data. This can include academic data such as the latest literacy and/or math results, student school attendance data, student attendance data for interventions, and even parent attendance data for Family Fridays. Current strategies and activities should be reviewed to see if they are successful, need modifications, or need to be canceled. The School Site Council should review the SPSA to discuss if any modifications to the plan are required. Next, the SSC should review the latest budget overview and make any adjustments as needed to Title I or CSI expenditures. The principal can ask for recommendations on the LCFF budget as well. And finally, the SSC must permit time for any advisory committee reports from the DAC, ELAC, and DLAC representatives. The SSC can include a roundtable at the end of the meeting to begin forming discussions about items for the upcoming meeting. All work conducted by the SSC is open to the public for review. The current year plus the documentation of the preceding 5 years should be available in the office for any member of the community to review. This should be the principal's official SSC binder. The SSC binder should contain the information listed below. First, a current draft or board-approved SPSA. Second, SSC bylaws. Third, the SSC roster with personal information redacted. Fourth, the SSC election information, including a call to nominations, ballots, and election results. And then fifth, monthly meeting information that includes agendas, sign-in sheets, minutes, and any artifacts for each agenda item, which include budget overviews, budget transfers, data, and any handouts used during the meeting. Please make sure to keep both an agenda and SSC minutes for each meeting. During a federal program monitoring review, a reviewer will look for evidence that the following tasks have been completed. This information should be documented in the SSC minutes. First, the introduction of new SSC members. Second, the approval of the Parent and Family Engagement Policy and School Parent Compact. Third, the approval of the SPSA and the Title I and CSI, if applicable, budget, since we conduct these activities separate from one another. Fourth, approval of any budget or expense transfers. Fifth, the evaluation of Title I and CSI funded strategies and activities if your school receives Title I or CSI funds. The agenda items are labeled appropriately as action/information. Action items are brought to a vote where there is a first, second, and a recorded number of votes. Please note, a quorum is necessary for all SSC meetings where voting items exist and is defined as 50% of membership plus 1 in attendance. The Green Act exempts certain parent committees from the Brown Act, but creates a separate set of rules to ensure open meetings. The SSC agenda must be posted 72 hours in advance of the meeting. The agenda must provide specific information on how to access the meeting via the online conferencing system, Zoom, for all who wish to do so. The posting is in a place accessible to the public during and outside of school hours. The agenda must state location, time, and date of the meeting and includes specific details of the meeting. Voting takes place only on posted agenda items unless the item is added by unanimous vote at the beginning of the meeting. Public comment at the beginning of the meeting is limited to items under the purview of the SSC. There are several Green Act recommendations for SSCs. First, post the agenda in multiple locations and through multiple methods. Second, if the SSC meetings are held Mondays, try to have the agenda distributed by Wednesday of the preceding week. We recommend avoiding early morning SSC meetings. And finally, make sure that all meetings are live and open to the public. Effective meeting management is the foundation of productive meetings. The chairperson or co-chair is the gatekeeper of meeting order. They should ensure that all SSC members engage and participate during discussions. Our district uses Robert's Rules of Order as a parliamentary guide. This includes making sure that all motions have a first, second, and a final vote. A Robert's Rules cheat sheet will be provided as guidance. District Advisory Council. The DAC representative or alternative should attend the monthly DAC meeting. Parents and students are automatic voting DAC members. A school site can also designate a staff member, except the principal, to be the DAC member. At DAC meetings, national, state, and district information is discussed. Thus, the DAC representative should report all DAC information to the SSC so that stakeholders are properly informed. Community members can also be designated as DAC representatives in order to vote at the DAC. Federal and state law requires that each school with 21 or more English learners, regardless of language, forms a functional English Learner Advisory Council, or ELAC, committee. The site's ELAC has 4 legal requirements to meet yearly, one of which is advising the SSC about the SPSA. It is possible for the ELAC's responsibilities to be delegated to the SSC. You can see the attached handout. Please work with the Office of Language Acquisition if your ELAC wishes to delegate their responsibilities to the SSC. The SPSA is a key document that is reviewed and updated on a yearly basis by the SSC. The SSC should review relevant school and student achievement data using resources such as the California Dashboard, CASP assessments, and the California Healthy Kids Survey, as well as any local data such as FAST, DEMI, Social Emotional Learning Scales, and end of course exams. Based on the data, consider the effectiveness of previously attempted strategies and activities. The school should identify resource inequities that have an impact on the data. The SSC should also seek input from other school committees, including ELAC or the site governance team. The SSC should then develop goals for the school. And finally, the SSC should prepare budget and identify any new or continuing strategies and activities that will enable the school to attain their stated goals. In the next segment of our presentation, we're going to be talking about Title I, LCFF, and CSI budgets. These budgets are the budgets that the SSC is responsible for reviewing. However, SSCs only approve, review, and monitor Title I and CSI funds. Schools have 2 primary sources of funds to operate. First is unrestricted budgets. These are district funds given to schools to operate and include LCFF. Secondarily, schools have restricted budgets. This includes funds like Title I or CSI. They are also referred to as categorical funds. In addition, schools may receive funds through grants, foundations, PTA, and miscellaneous sources. Title I funds are under the purview of the SSC. That means they allocate and monitor these funds throughout the year. These funds include Title I Basic, or Resource 30100, Title I Parent Involvement, or Resource 30103, Title I Supplemental, or Resource 30106. Comprehensive Support and Improvement Funds, aka CSI, are given to schools which have been identified by the state, and they are housed in Resource 31820. Items that are not under the purview of the SSC but can be reviewed include LCFF, or Resource 09800. 09800. Title I Law. Title I funds are federal funds that are to be used to support students due to economic concerns. All SDUSD Title I schools have voted to implement a school-wide Title I program. Newly established Title I schools must vote to become a school-wide program school. A Title I school-wide program is comprehensive and designed to upgrade the entire educational program in a Title I school in order to improve the achievement of the lowest achieving students. That means that any student is eligible to benefit from Title I funds. The purpose of Title I funds is to provide direct instructional support to students to improve academic achievement, to provide interventions to improve outcomes, to address California School Dashboard Indicator data, to supplement the district's general program, to support supplemental professional development, to foster new types of parent partnerships that focus on improving student achievement, and finally, to support closing achievement gaps in core content areas, including math, English language arts, social studies, and science. All Title I expenditures at the school site must be described in the SPSA. The schools should be continually engaged in identifying and implementing evidence-based activities, strategies, and interventions with a focus on improving student achievement. Current data must support all supplemental supports and expenses identified in the SPSA. The SSC must provide strategy descriptions and rationales detailing the intent and expected result of the expenses identified in the SPSA plan. The Strategic Planning for Student Achievement Department has written expenditure guidelines with details about what is and what is not allowable with Title I funds. The list is not exhaustive, but it should help in making expenditures. The SPSA is a living document. Revisions to the plan that involve Title I budget, first of all, require SSC approval. Secondly, must be documented in SSC minutes. Questions that the SSC should ask include, how will the change be funded? Secondly, why is this change warranted? In addition, specific changes must be described, such as the resource and account information, rationale, and voting details. The SSC should make prudent use of the limited funds so that the site can get the most return on their investment. LCFF is the state funding mechanism for districts. The LCAP is the district planning document for LCFF. LCFF requires district transparency and input from all stakeholders and is informed by school goals, which are part of the SPSA. The SSC is one of the committees that must provide input on the school's LCFF funds. LCFF are unrestricted funds with a designated intent to be used for the principal benefit of unduplicated students. These three groups include low-income students, English learners, and foster youth. Sites should know their unduplicated pupil percentage when considering how to spend funds to best serve these students. These funds are not under the purview of SSC. However, they are reported in the SPSA. The purpose of LCFF funds in San Diego Unified is to provide, first, classroom support that focuses on improving student achievement. Secondly, intervention support that directly affects the academic achievement of students. And third, to provide professional development for staff in support of increasing student achievement. The SPSA department has developed guidelines on allowable and non-allowable expenditures for LCFF funds. In the final segment of today's review, we're going to talk about Comprehensive Support and Intervention, CSI. The Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, requires state educational agencies to determine school eligibility for comprehensive support and improvement. Local educational agencies, school districts, with schools that meet the criteria for CSI must partner with educational partners to locally develop and implement a plan to improve school outcomes. In order to be eligible to be a CSA school, California uses California School Dashboard to determine school eligibility. School eligibility is based on the following two categories of schools: low graduation rate, or not less than the lowest performing 5% of Title I schools. That includes schools with all red indicators, schools with all red but one indicator of another color, schools with all red and orange indicators, or schools with 5 or more indicators where the majority are red. Similar to Title I, the purpose of CSI funds is to, first, improve direct instructional support to students to improve academic achievement. Secondly, supplement the district's general program. Also, support professional development. To foster new types of parent partnerships that focus on improving student achievement. To support closing achievement gaps in core content areas. Also of importance, the school must address the factors that made the school eligible for CSI. Keep in mind, the SSC makes the decisions on the spending and revisions of CSI funds. Budget details must be shared at every SSC meeting. A school budget overview will include the following details: budget, amount of funds that were designated for a specific account. Please note that personnel is budgeted at an average salary and benefits in the spring of the previous year. Title I is responsible for the actual cost of the employee, which includes salary and benefits of the current year. An expense, that is a year-to-date expense. An encumbrance, these are expected salaries and benefits to be paid or materials or services ordered but not yet paid. A pre-encumbrance, that's an initial ordering of materials and services. The school can also provide details of actual expenses through a budget detail transaction report. This screenshot includes a sample of what a budget overview may look like for your school site. A budget overview for LCFF, Title I, and CSI should be shared on a monthly basis where applicable. If you have questions, please note the following contact information. Each area has a specifically assigned SPSA resource teacher. Feel free to find your area and contact that person with any questions related to Title I or categorical funding. Thank you so much, and have a great year.